Live Mom Strong podcast, first official episode right here, right now. I'm Kelsey, and I'm going to be sharing the real and raw of motherhood. I started Mom Strong back in 2020 during my first pregnancy, and now due with my second in a couple of months. And so during my first pregnancy, I had felt really alone. I felt isolated and scared. I really didn't know much about motherhood or labor and delivery, any of that. So I was scared for that. And so I started writing out these daily affirmations. And one of them was, I am mom. I am strong. And not just in like the muscle and like physical strength, but more in the sense of mental and emotional, physical, spiritual strength, like the whole sense of the word of being strong. And so that developed and changed into I am mom strong, because to be a mom, you need like an incredible amount of strength. Like physical, emotional, like even just picking up the baby and all the things in the bags. To be a mom, you have to have this incredible strength. So you're going to hear more about my story, my journey, my kids, how I got to where I am today in next week's episode, while I'll be sharing the mission and the mantra of Mom Strong and where this podcast will be going. Today, I actually have a guest speaker coming on, and she is one of my really, really good friends. We actually met here right on social media. She lives in Florida. I live in Michigan. And so we've actually really developed this amazing friendship, and our kids are going to grow up together. I visited her multiple times. She's come up here, and she is now a time management expert and coach. So she is going to be sharing with us the invaluable tips that we need as busy mamas for time management. So once she jumps on here, I'm going to add her into the podcast to share with you. I know she has 4 amazing tips for you. And I've already been able to take her Time Management Academy course, and it's next level. It is so good. So if you're feeling overwhelmed as a mom, because there really is this invisible load of motherhood that we have, she's going to be an incredible resource for you. So here she anytime now. 3, 2. Oh, there she is. I was just introducing you and just saying how we met on social media, just created this amazing real life friendship, and just a little intro about you. So why don't you just share who you are, where you're from, what do you do, and how did you get to where you are now as a time management coach?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thank you for letting me be your first guest. I am so proud of you for having a podcast. This is super exciting. I cannot wait to listen to every single episode, because I know that you are just going to bring so much fire and value and positivity and energy to everybody who listens to your podcast. So I'm super honored and excited. Second of all, okay, so I am Laura Davis. As Kelsey mentioned, I am a time management coach, and I'll give you the high level of how I got to where I am now. So a couple of years ago, I was in the health and fitness world, and I found that all of my clients were asking how I had time to work out and had time to meal prep and had time to really care about my health and about my fitness. And I started creating time management courses and trainings for all of my clients based on what I was doing. And that kind of dovetailed into, this is really where I can make a massive impact, is helping women get their time management under control and really learn how to create that work-life balance that works for them. It kind of all came together because years previous to that, I have always been mentoring friends, family members on how to effectively run their schedules. I was reading research papers and in-depth research on time management and productivity for women for fun. And so it all just serendipitously added together of like one day I woke up and I was like, I am meant to be a time management coach. And at the time, I didn't even know if that was really a thing. I was like, do people really teach this? Like, I feel like I'm just a dork, that I love this kind of stuff. So I didn't know that this was actually a business or an industry until I had already launched my course and my business. And then I started doing research into the business side of it and realized that it's a real thing. So really excited to bring some concrete tips to you guys today, because being a mom and managing your time is an art and a skill that you have to learn and master.
Yeah, definitely. I was just sharing before you came to, is just like invisible load of motherhood and you just made a post about this too, of like all the things that we do as moms that, you don't see on the outside, but they're like all up here in your brain, and it makes you like really feel overwhelmed. So,
Yep.
and I know that's part of one of your tips as well too. So why don't you go ahead and share your awesome tips, and then at the end, I might swing a few questions at you. I know I did not send them to you beforehand, but
That's okay. Yeah, no, that's totally fine. Okay, so I have 4 tips for you today, and I think metaphors and analogies are super helpful in understanding concepts, especially concepts that people might struggle with. So the first tip that I have is that when it comes to time management, you really have to get the baseline skill knowledge, the foundational skills mastered before you can really dive into looking at specific tools that you want to use. So a really good example of this is around this time every year, women will go to Target and they'll buy the prettiest planner that they can find, or they'll order the Erin Condren personalized spiral bound rose gold planner. Raise your hand, put a comment in, comment below if like that is you, because that used to be me too. But the thing about that is that you are looking for the tool to fix your problem. You're not actually learning the foundational skills that you need to fix the problem that you have with managing your time. You're expecting a planner to do it for you, or maybe you're like, this is the year that I dive into Google Calendar, and you start opening up Google Calendar or iCal or whatever it may be, and you're like, this is going to fix my problem. But the piece that everybody's missing, that piece is the foundational skills of managing your time, because the planner, the calendar, those are all tools, but the foundation that you need is really in the time management skills that you have to learn first. And so I like to use the analogy that it's like building a house. People think it's super fun to like pick out paint colors and curtains and furniture and wall decor, but you have to build the house and the foundation before you can start picking out decorations. So that is tip number 1, is to get a really good grasp on actual time management skills before you worry about what tool you're going to use.
Yeah, I love that. I have bought a shiny new planner calendar every year, and pretty much then forget about it once February 1st comes.
Yep, I hear that all the time. So the second tip that I have, and the tips that I'm giving are really not that known. Like, you won't hear a lot of time management coaches talk about these 4 tips, which is why I think they're so important. So tip number 2 is that time management is 80% mentality and 20% execution. So again, this goes into before you start trying to populate a calendar on your phone or on your computer, before you buy a bunch of washi tape or stickers for your planner. I mean, I love that stuff too, but before you start doing that, you have to make sure that your mentality is right when it comes to time management. So actually, Maria and I were talking in DMs this week, and I think she's going to catch this live too. But one of the things that we were talking about was, she was saying that she felt overwhelmed because she felt like she had to give 100% all the time. And I challenged her a little bit, and I said, what is your definition of 100%? And do you think you can change the definition? And she said, well, how do you change the definition? And I told her, I was like, I'm not going to answer you right now because I'm going to answer you on this live. So I know she's going to watch it. So here's how you change that definition. You give yourself permission to change it. And a really good example of this is, society tells you that if you're going to take care of your home as a woman, then your definition of 100% is that you go to bed with your home prepared to be in like a showing the next day for HGTV. That is a pressure that you have learned through society, through watching TV shows, through reading articles, through Pinterest. And so your mind has this definition of giving 100% means that everything has to be perfect. But if you change your definition of 100%, you are allowed to change your own personal definition. So again, with that same analogy, for example, I used to feel the same way where I felt like my whole house had to be perfectly clean before I went to bed. And it was causing so much anxiety for me. And finally, I had to say, you know what? What does it matter if there are 10 dishes in my sink? What does it matter if there's dog hair on the floor? Who is coming to my house at 11 p.m. at night? Is my house going to be on TV at 11 p.m. at night? Or is it okay for me to wait until tomorrow? But you have to get comfortable enough and self-cognizant enough with your own brain to realize that you can change those definitions. And once you start doing that, you get a lot more freedom with how you manage your time. And so that's actually one of the very first things that we go over in my online course. We spend the majority of our time talking about the mentality that you need to have before we ever start talking about populating your calendar, because it's literally the most critical step. So I see Maria on here.
Mind blown. Yeah.
Mind blown. Yeah. And Alisa, I see Alisa's like 100%. So yeah, once you get that skill and you're able to give yourself permission to look at things outside of how society tells you should look at them, you are golden. You can then literally do anything you set your mind to.
I love that, especially for like any of like the stay-at-home moms that are on here, like myself. I mean, pretty much for the first 6-8 months of, having my daughter at home, I had that mentality of like, I had to be 100% with her and with the house. And it literally drove me to literally like having postpartum anxiety and depression. So like having this like change of mindset, you're like, yeah, okay, now it's like, oh, there's 10 dishes. Like, I'll do it tomorrow. Like I gave 100% in the areas that I needed to of that me being a mom. Right. So love that.
Yeah. And one of the other things I will say too about that is that I'm saying to change your mindset, but I know the execution of that is not always, super simple. It's not a straight line. There are zigzags. I still have to consciously work on this. So one of the things that I do with my clients in Time Management Academy is I actually give you the roadmap and the tools to change your mentality. I don't just tell you to change your mentality. I show you precisely how to do it, because I think that is a missing piece that a lot of people will say, well, just change how you look at it. And I struggled for a long time. And there are still times where like I have to coach myself on, it's not as simple as just telling your brain to think something else. There are steps you have to go through in order to really change how your brain looks at something.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Yeah, I know you know how I feel.
Yeah.
Okay, so tip number 3, this is also something really critical that I don't think a lot of women do. When it comes to work-life balance, a lot of women look at their life as a 24-hour cycle. So a lot of women want perfect balance every 24 hours. They want every single day. They want to be an amazing mom, an amazing career person or business owner, amazing corporate ladder climber, and they want to be an amazing wife, and they want to be an amazing human to themselves and take care of themselves. They want perfection in a 24-hour cycle. And what I teach is that you should actually look at your time in 168-hour cycles, which is what 7 days are made up of. Because there could be one day where you are 100% an amazing rock star corporate ladder climber, and there's going to be another day where you're 100% an amazing mom. But I think a lot of women are told that it should be every single day is balanced. But when you look at it as your week and you look at those 168 hours and how you're spending your time over an entire week, that's really where you start to achieve true work-life balance as it relates to you. So you, again, get to define your own work-life balance. And when you do that over a week's period instead of over each individual day, that's when you start to see major transformations.
I just felt like a weight like lifted off of me when you said that, like it's not like just every day. Cause I'm already thinking like, okay, tomorrow is Friday, it's Friday. It's 24 hours tomorrow, but like it's like a whole different way. Again, going back to your mentality of how much time do you have and what are you spending your time on?
Yep, exactly. And I'm doing a post later today that kind of breaks that whole concept down visually too, of like, this is what it looks like to have 24 hours, and this is what it looks like to have 168 hours. And so when I'm training people in the course, we're really going through like, don't look at a day and judge yourself. Look at your time over an entire week and celebrate your wins that you're having over that week. Because whenever you start doing that, like I said, that's really where your mindset starts to shift a lot. So I'm glad that that resonated with you too. I love
Mm-hmm.
that. So tip number 4, I'm going to try not to go on a soapbox because this one I am really passionate about. But there is a lot of conversation happening online and in health and fitness right now, talking about cyclical fitness when it comes to a woman's monthly cycle. And that is such an important topic, and it's something that is not taught in school. How time management is related to that is that you also never learn how to manage your time in school as a woman. So managing your time is completely tied to your cycle. There are certain things that you should do during each phase of your cycle to really get the most out of productivity and what that means in those four phases of your cycle. But the biggest message that I want to say is that time management is a learned skill. You do not you're not just born with the ability to manage a calendar. Some people do it a little more naturally than other people, but you have to still really practice those skills and hone those skills in order to be good at them. And you are never given that direction as you're growing up as a woman. So anywhere between kindergarten and postgraduate PhDs, no one is teaching you how to manage your time. All they do is they give you an agenda, a printed out agenda for school. If anybody remembers those that you got in high school or college, let me know in the comments because I remember mine, and that was like my first introduction to paper planners. But they give you that and they expect you to just figure out how to manage your workload and how to manage your time and how to manage your life. Nobody actually walks you through it. And so that is really one of the biggest reasons that I started a time management business, that I started time management for women specifically, because we are very different from men when it comes to hormonally, physically, psychologically, physiologically, and all of those things play into time management. So what works for Kelsey isn't going to work for me. And what works for me might not work for Kelsey. There's going to be overlaps, but every single woman is so individual. And because you're not taught how to manage your time, that's why I'm teaching women how to learn time management, proven methods, but then how to adapt them to what will work for them individually, because you're never taught that. So I think another message in that is like, don't feel guilty if you feel like you're struggling with time management. Don't allow yourself to feel guilty. It is not your fault. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You literally were never taught time management, and it is very much so a learned skill. So follow, time management coaches, productivity coaches, see which ones resonate with you the most. If it's me, that's awesome. If it's not, there are others of us out there. Find who resonates with you the most and learn as much as you can from them.
Yeah, I love that. And what you were saying about like having an agenda, I feel like before having kids, I would get that agenda and like in a day, I feel like I would be able to like stay on top of things, right? Like, at home and at work or school, wherever I was at. And then once I have a little one at home who's very unpredictable, right? Like, what would be like your advice or tips for like a mom who is in that transition phase, right? Like you felt like you had everything together and then now it's like you're throwing kids in the mix that are super, super unpredictable and your time in your day just gets so jumbled up. And then, yeah, I do feel like at the end of the day, I'm like, wow, I really got nothing done. I didn't feel productive. Again, I know it's a mentality shift, but like what advice would you give to like a mom in that transition phase?
Yeah, so first of all, I would say the biggest tip is that once you learn time management foundations and you learn those skills, they go with you for the rest of your life. So it becomes much easier to transition in those different phases of life than if you didn't have those skills and that knowledge. So that's number one. But some tangible tips that you can do, and I don't want to give people the answers to the test because it's not going to be the same for everyone. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But some things to consider and some things to look at is instead of trying to take a paper planner, for example, and write out specific times that you're going to do something, and then all of a sudden your baby takes a nap at a different time than normal, and you look at your planner and you're like, oh my God, I had this planned for 1:30 and this isn't happening now. I'm a failure. Instead, I would recommend using a method that could be much more flexible. I personally prefer a digital calendar because then when something comes up, I can change that little pocket of time, that time block that I have. I can easily move that, and the split second of guilt is gone. Like, yes, I didn't get it done at 1:30, but okay, or I didn't get it done at whatever time, but I know that she's asleep right now, so I'm going to get it done right now instead of when I originally planned to get it done, or vice versa. Like, she's not napping right now, so I'm going to move this task to whenever she does nap. And then the second tangible thing I would say is to keep the number of things that you're trying to get done in a day to 3 for each aspect of your life. And even let that be flexible. So like for me, for example, most days I plan 3 personal things, 3 business things, and 3 corporate job things. And I keep them, pretty much consistent on that. But if I know I have a really busy corporate job day, I'm going to say, hey, I might get 1 personal thing done and I might get 1 business thing done. Or if I know that like on the weekend, if I can crank out 4 business things and only 2 personal things, or 4 personal things and only 2 business things, but I try really hard to stick to that 3 rule of 3 things each day for each aspect of your life.
So you're not like a huge fan of that, like, huge long list, like to-do list that people write out every single day?
I have a lot of opinions on to-do lists, and I think that they definitely have a place. I personally, I have an entire system for how to have an effective to-do list, but I think you have to have a strategy. So that's what a lot of people are missing. Again, they're looking for the tool list, which is the tool. They're looking for the tool to solve their problem, and they're not using the tool as a tool, where really it's them who solves the problem, not the tool. And so as long as you have a strategy and a process for how you use your to-do list, they definitely serve a place, but it has to be intentional.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. I love having it down to 3. I think since I took your course and we were going through this together, I feel like the shorter my lists are, the more I get, more on top of that I accomplish. Because I'm very much just like you. We're very much like go-getters, Enneagram 3. Like we like to see success and things being checked off. And I think a lot of
Mhm.
them relate to that is like, I need to see things being checked off. So,
Yep.
just having it concise like that is so helpful. I loved these tips and they were just so unique. It wasn't like you said, you're not giving us the answers, you're not telling us, because we have to do the work to do it.
Yep.
So why don't you share how they can get in contact with you and more about your new course coming?
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. And you are already signed up for it, so you will be attending it. But I'm super excited. My Instagram, I am coming live from my Instagram. So it's at, it's.laura.davis, and anybody is welcome to connect with me. I'm always in my DM, so feel free to reach out to me, message me. But Time Management Academy is coming live this fall. So I will be doing a live version of enhanced material from Time Management Academy. So the course originally launched earlier this year. So it's been a few months. There have been several clients who have gone through the course and I've gotten feedback. Some industry things have changed in time management. I have found some new tools that I really like to help recommend. And so I am revamping all of the content, and I am teaching it live so that it can include live Q&A and live coaching. So that is an aspect that is not currently normally included, and it will only be included in this round when I teach it live. So students will have the opportunity to hear from me directly and ask me questions in real time to get feedback. So I'm really, really excited about this. It kicks off on my birthday on October 26th, and it will be 1 day a week for 3 weeks. And there might be a couple of bonus trainings in there too. But then people who enroll, you get lifetime access to these courses and then anything that I add in the future. So really exciting stuff. I'm adding 2 new modules or 2 new short trainings, one on that productivity according to your cycle, your monthly cycle, and then also a business track for business owners on how to find time to do the social media side of your business. Because that's where a lot of business owners that take Time Management Academy, they're like, I just don't know how to keep my business organized. So this will be an entire training on how to balance all of the different aspects of your business and keep it organized.
And who is this course for?
It is for any woman. It's so, I would say the only person that this isn't for is a man, and that's only not because they're not welcome to take it, and they will definitely learn something. If your husband or your spouse or brother, uncle, whoever wants to take it, they're definitely welcome to. But really, it is, I have taken, studied, researched, proven methods for time management and adapted them to how women work and to what our needs are, because they're very different from men. So I speak a lot to specifics that a woman lives through in their reality. So it's the only reason I say that men might not be the best audience, but really any woman, even if you're not a mom yet, or if you never plan to become a mom, if you're a business owner, if you're in network marketing, if you are a mom, if you are a dog mom, if you're a stepmom, if you're an IVF mom, if you're a plant mom, if you keep anything else alive in this world, you are some form of a mom. And so you will definitely benefit from the course.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for your time.
Yeah.
It's so lovely seeing your face, and I can't wait to see you in person in March,
Very soon.
right?
I know. So excited. So excited.
All
I
right.
love it.
Well,
Thanks
thanks
for
so
having
much.
me.
Bye.
Bye.